Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to do a quick and easy mod that you can do to your truck that'll help with the throttle response. I hear all the time that people feel like they have to push down as hard as they can on the throttle to actually get the responsiveness that they want, or when they're accelerating at high speed, such as on the highway, they feel like they get the pedal all the way to the floor and they still can't get all the fuel that they want. There's other modifications that we're going to touch on in other videos, but this is one modification that can help with that. And the good thing is it's free and it takes about 10 minutes. So let's get in and check it out, and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, on the driver's side of the block, you'll see your injection pump. This is what your pump should look like if your truck is stock and if it has a manual transmission. If you have an automatic transmission, you'll have a bracket here with a black box hanging off the front. That's your throttle position sensor. You should not need to remove that to perform this modification. In order to understand a little bit better why this modification works, I'm going to explain a couple components of the throttle that we're going to be adjusting. Right here is the throttle cable that connects to the throttle pedal. So when you push on the pedal, it pulls this cable. That connects to this bracket, which connects to the throttle connection rod, which is what connects the throttle cable to the throttle lever on the injection pump. So when you push the throttle pedal, it pulls on the connection rod and pulls the lever, which tells the pump to send fuel to the engine in very basic terms. For this modification, all we're going to be doing is adjusting where this rod is positioned to increase its mechanical advantage on this lever, making it more efficient at pulling on the lever, thus increasing throttle response. So the first thing that we need to do, you'll see that you have a spring here and a spring here. They're connected to this hole. All we need to do is take those springs off and just dangle them to the side. Like such. Now we're going to be moving this rod. Before we move that, grab a 10mm wrench and you'll see a nut on both ends of the rod. Go ahead and just loosen that nut. Real quickly. The next step is to pull this end of the rod off of the lever. The best way to do this is grab the rod with your fingers here and grab the tip of the rod with your other hand and gently pull up, and it'll just pop off. Now we're just going to let that dangle for just a second. We'll get back to that. You'll see here a little ball that resembles very similar to a hitch ball where the throttle rod was connected. All we're going to do now is loosen this ball off of here and remount it to this hole. In order to get the ball off, you'll need a 10mm wrench and an 8mm wrench. The 8mm wrench will go at the base of the ball on top of the lever, and the 10mm wrench will fit on the nut on the bottom. Go ahead and just loosen it up. Once you have it off, the easiest way to remount it is grab the nut, slide it under the hole, and thread the ball back into the nut. Once you have that, go ahead and tighten it back up. There we go, nice and snug. Now, if you grab your connecting rod, you'll notice that the length of the rod is a little too long for where we've moved the ball to. It's the correct length for where the ball was, but the distance now is a little bit shorter. This is why we loosened these lock nuts. All you have to do is turn the head, and you can do this on this end or this end, whichever end has threads to give to thread it in. just a couple turns and go one more. Perfect. And it should just set right on the ball. Once you have it the correct length, push it on and it should snap back on. And we'll tighten the lock nuts up. There we go. The last thing we need to do is reconnect the springs that we took off, and you will just connect them to the hole where the peg used to be. The premise behind this modification is that by moving the throttle rod closer to the fulcrum point of the lever, it increases the mechanical advantage of that rod on the lever, thus increasing throttle response. If you have any experience with this modification and have any other tips for anyone else who may try this that I may have forgotten, feel free to comment below. Also, if you have any questions about the modification, comment below as well. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.